McNamara, 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ken Corla. One of, I suppose, the great shames has been in this recession that the number of people in Ireland living in jobless households increased rapidly since the start of the recession. However, what we have to also realise and look at now is that before this recession began, and my colleague Deputy Ferris has outlined, I think, in great detail to the House the causes of that recession, but before this awful recession began, the percentage of people who lived in jobless households in Ireland was 15%. Now, that is an extraordinarily high figure. We have the highest percentage of people in Europe living in jobless households in Ireland, but we also had one of the highest percentages of people living in jobless households back in 2007, before this crash, no matter how predictable it was, before this crash happened. And I suppose, you know, as we have these debates, Punch and Judy shows in this House, and people throw across slogans of shame and disgrace, well, if there is a shame or a disgrace, it's that that figure of people living in jobless households wasn't tackled when this state had so much resources to throw at the problem. But instead, this state just chose to throw money at these people. There was no effort made to get people to incentivise work, to provide training, to provide schemes whereby people could get a job. Instead, money was thrown at them and they were ignored, effectively ghettoised large percentages of our population. And this government and this Minister for Social Protection has sought to tackle that, and sought to tackle that problem in the teeth of a huge loss of employment across this economy. We're reminded day upon day of the huge jobless, the calamitous fall in employment which was happening in the run-up to this last election and immediately thereafter. But that has been arrested. We finally now see an increase in the labour force. For the second consecutive quarter, we see an increase in the labour force for the first time since this recession began. We also see the rate of decline of under-26s in the workforce being arrested finally for the first time since 2007. So I think we have to realise the scale of the problem, and the scale of the problem which preceded this recession, before we can fully realise the backdrop to this budget. In that context, I greatly welcome the initiatives which have been introduced in this budget and which are introduced in this social welfare bill. And yes, I acknowledge the pain that it is causing. And it's a pain that people across Irish society are bearing, and are bearing for economic problems which were inflicted by a previous government. But it is not, I think, in any way correct to suggest that any particular sector of Irish society is being targeted. There is a lot of concern at the loss of medical cards and the change in the threshold. Yet, a couple who earn €900 a week will not qualify, but a couple who earn just under €900 a week will continue to qualify for a medical card. Now, that's a relatively high income for a couple who will not have to pay school fees, pay a mortgage, etc., because that we're talking about people who are retired. Single people, the threshold is still €500 a week for a full medical card. And for those who lose a medical card, they'll get a GP-only card, which entitles, as this title would suggest, entitles people to go to a GP and be treated for free by a GP. But furthermore, if they need further care and they're referred to a local A&E or to a medical assessment unit, they will also, because they are being referred with the GP's letter, they will receive free medical care there. So I think there's a lot of scaremongering going on, and people are being intentionally frightened about initiatives which don't affect them in any way. turning to the initiatives that are specifically targeted at young people, to enable them to join the labour force, to give them, rather than throwing money at them and consigning them to a ghettoisation of unemployment. Instead, labour activation measures and specific measures are being adopted. For example, the Youth Reach programme, providing integrated education, training and work experience for early school leavers without any qualifications or vocational training between ages 15 and 20 years. The number of places are being increased. The Vocational Training Opportunities Scheme, which provides a range of courses. The Back to Education Allowance, Momentum, the Apprenticeship Scheme.
Thank you, Deputy.
All of these are providing 10,200 places specifically reserved for young people. Furthermore, young people also have access to a further 69,400 places, and I greatly welcome that. Thank you, Councillor.
Deputy Bannon.